Hey guys, MCU Collector here with another figure review, and next up, by popular demand, is the Hasbro Star Wars The Black Series, Star Wars The Mandalorian. This is number 10 in the line. This is BO-KATAN KRYZE? Forgive me. Now, before I want to preface this video by saying I never watched a single episode of Rebels or Clone Wars. And to be honest with you, don't even know which one she was in, if it was Clone Wars or if it was Rebels. I want to say it was Clone Wars, but I honestly don't know that. I enjoy the live-action Star Wars stuff. I've seen all the movies multiple times. The Mandalorian Season 1 and Season 2 I've really enjoyed. But Bo-Katan character was very new to me going into Season 2. I did not know anything about her previously, much as I think a lot of general Star Wars fans. Now, obviously, the diehard fans would have seen everything animated. I just simply have not. I did see the Clone Wars, the movie, but I did not watch any of the show. So we'll just kind of get that out of the way. The good thing here is that this figure is actually based on the Mandalorian live action show. So let's get to it. So Bo-Katan KRYZE, what? Do you guys let me know. Did I say it right? KRYZE. Is that right? Let me know. Star Wars The Mandalorian there. Side artwork looking very cool. Now, I think if you open up the box, you can see the flaps and see who's supposed to be next to him or whatever. I have no clue. I have a very limited Star Wars Black Series collection that mainly sticks to any of the retro carded figures. And then what I've been doing is getting a few of the Mandalorian figures, not all of them. So I don't have a Greef Karga, I don't have a Moff Gideon, I don't have Quill, I have only some heavy infantry. I got Cara Dune, I've got the Mandalorian, I got the Child, I even have the Biker Scout. But I think what I want to do is kind of concentrate on specifically Mandalorians from the Mandalorian. So eventually I'll need to get an armorer figure and kind of go from there. So, but that is why I have the Bo-Katan. So we'll get right to it. I know I'm kind of rambling on here. Anyway, the bio reads, a gifted warrior, Bo-Katan KRYZE is a legendary Mandalorian. She refused to align with the Empire's occupation of Mandalore. So I know there are some crazy things in that show and stuff with like Darth Maul and all of that, and the Darksaber and things like that. Unfortunately, because I don't have a Moff Gideon figure, I can't actually have her hold the Darksaber, but she never held the damn thing in the Mandalorian anyway. You know, unfortunately. So it's one of those things. You know, will she get it in Season 3? I kind of think so. I think something's going to happen, but there's going to be a face-off between her and Din Djarin. So we shall see it happen. But anyway, let's get this thing out of the package. Okay, so here is the Bo-Katan figure out of the package, and she is pretty cool. One thing, one minor complaint, which I will get to here shortly, but before I continue on with the video, I want to send a big shout out to ToyMaestro on Instagram. He actually got a few of these and was kind enough to send one out my way, so make sure to hit him up on Instagram, send him messages or make comments on his sales posts whenever he gets them. He gets a lot of the new figures before a lot of other folks, so always be on the lookout for his posts, and he always has some really good deals that include shipping. So be on the lookout, ToyMaestro. Now let's zoom in on Bo-Katan. Okay, so we are zoomed in on Bo-Katan. So looking at the helmet, one thing, and this is going to be probably my only complaint, is the helmet looks big. Now, I understand why that is the case. It is because the helmet is an actual functioning helmet. It fits over the head sculpt, and the Bo-Katan unhelmeted head sculpt does not look too small. So first, let's take a look at the details of the helmet, and that looks really good. I like the blue color. I like the kind of damaged and worn down look on the owl paint there in the front. Now, I know the owl has some kind of significance to something. You guys can give me the history lesson down in the comments. I did hear about it, and I've watched some videos. I don't recall exactly what it is, though. We get this darker blue part of the helmet there, a little bit of silver paint on there. That is pretty cool. The viewfinder there, you can see, is in a nice silver paint, and it does fold down so she can aim and shoot, you know, the missile out of her jetpack. Are they all called Phoenixes, or was it just specifically the Mandalorians? I'm not really sure, but looking at it there, we get this dark gray silver color. It's a nice shine to it, and then we get some of that blue that's the same from her helmet, and you can see it just kind of ports on into the back there. Nothing's fancy to it, and then it's just completely flat there with no detail or anything. But a short peg, so it kind of moves around a little bit. It doesn't really pop off or anything like that, so it's a nice compact jetpack compared to what like Mando had. there. So removing the helmet, you can see it's kind of large because it's got to fit over her hair and everything. And there she is. Now, the likeness to the actress, I see it. I don't think this is the best that Hasbro has done for Star Wars. I think they've done a lot better and can do a lot better, but they've also done pretty worse on some figures, especially the older ones. But, you know, it's not really fair. They've really kind of changed their technologies and what they do. But, you know, it's there's something about it. It's got a little bit too much shine to it, but that's just kind of getting nitpicky. But, you know, again, I do think it looks like the actress, which is cool that it's actually the voice actress from Clone Wars that's actually doing the live action. That's something that you typically wouldn't see. You know, you see the character and it looks like the character, but then the voice isn't going to match. Kind of like with Ahsoka Tano, you know, with Rosario Dawson playing her in the live action, you know, the voice isn't going to match. But here with BO-KATAN, they actually got it to match. So that is actually really cool. The hair, nice orange color. They didn't actually put any highlights or anything into the hair to kind of give it that textured look to it, but that's okay. We get this silver color up in here for the headband, and that looks good. But there's the head sculpt. The lips look a little bit dark in color, but it's, you know, it's not terrible. You know, I'm not going to really complain about it. The blasters. So she has two of the identical blasters. Now, they are done in that cheap-ass gray plastic that I hate, that Hasbro loves to do. They absolutely love it, but I hate it. It just looks really cheap looking. But the handle right there gets a little bit of brown paint going on both sides. And it is the exact same. Both of them are the same. And she has this dual sheath. So you got one on her left leg. And it just fits in there nicely like so. And then on her right leg, she has it as well. And you can see she has trigger fingers. There's not actually a trigger, but there's a space where her trigger finger will go. So then we'll holster that blaster there and look at the rest of the figure. So looking at the details, all looks really good there on the shoulder. We get a lot of nice weathering effect throughout as well, which is nice because, you know, she's pretty battle worn. So like here, the armor should be blue, but you got some gray color showing there, showing that the paint is really rubbed off. Both shoulder pads, especially here on her gauntlet pieces, you see a lot of that. I really like when they do that weathered damaged look to it because it really makes it look authentic, and really helps get some of the details to pop. So like on her shoulders as well, let me brighten this up a bit. On her shoulders as well, you can see it there, so that looks really good. Here on her chest plate with the Beskar armor, you can actually see that like scuff line there and a little scuff there. That is actually part of the deco, so that is really cool. And naturally, of course, right, if she's using the body armor, she's going to take hits there, and it's nice to see kind of that weathering damage look to it. Looking throughout the shin pads and the knee pads, all that armor, we get all that damage going on to it. There you see this like brownish leather type of material there for part of the boots, and the actual feet themselves are a lighter brown color, so nice little differentiation coloring there, quite nice. This holster belt piece is a super kind of bright brown. Wish it was a little bit darker in color because it just kind of looks funny, but we get some nice little details, some nice silver paint in the buckles and things like that. Nothing really going on in the back, but a little bit of added silver paint right where those buckles are. So at least they put in some effort there. So that is pretty cool. So now let's zoom out for her articulation. Okay, so Bo-Katan. So kind of like with G.I. Joe, her neck peg is a separate piece, so you can actually see we get all kinds of circular motion, everything going on in that neck. So you can kind of move the neck a little bit, but the way it sits and kind of how the collar piece of her outfit kind of hinders any motion going in there. So just kind of be aware of that, because the head itself is on like a dumbbell joint, so she can look up that much, she can look down only so much. I mean, you can kind of bend it, but then it's just kind of go right back into place. But she can look down, as you can see, and then you can get all kinds of head pivot going on in there. Full rotation and everything. So the arms, the shoulder pad goes right into the arms the way they designed that, so that is nice. But you can only get the arm to come out that much. Full rotation, of course. There is no bicep swivel, so you get the swivel at the elbow like so, and it is a single jointed elbow, but it is a deep cut elbow, which gives you just over 90 degrees, I would say, there. Now the wrists swivel, and they do hinge. Here on her left, she has the roll of the dice motion there, that vertical hinge, and then the right also has that same vertical hinge. Her diaphragm joint is actually really low, so normally you would see it probably right at here, kind of under this cut, but it's actually low here just above the belt, so it actually hides it really well as the body transitions to that belt. But it does get a little limited, so pivoting to the left, she can pivot that much, which isn't a whole lot. Pivoting to the right, she can only go that much, and it's almost like that top portion is actually hitting the brown belt portion, which is part of the sculpt, so it's not like that's going to kind of move around for that. Going back is a little bit, coming forward, and I mean, it's kind of rubbery, this portion here, but it really hits that belt, so she's only going to bend forward that much, which is hardly anything at all. But you do get a swivel going on in there, since there is no actual waist swivel or anything. Her legs go out that far apart. She can kick forward that much, not a whole lot, but decent motion. The leg actually goes back quite far. She has an upper thigh cut in there, and you can see this armor piece moves around with it, so the cut is in there. And then she has a single jointed knee, which gives you that much bend there. So a little bit more than 90 degrees. It's unfortunate we don't get a double elbow, but we also get a swivel at the knee. So that knee pad is a soft rubber piece, basically, that's kind of glued there and doesn't move around. But that leg, you know, can completely move around. So that's kind of interesting there. So we don't get a boot swivel, but we get the knee swivel. Now the foot hinges all the way down, as you can see, which is great. Going up, tiny bit, that's going to hit the shin guard and hinder that, but you get a nice ankle pivot, and she has peg holes at the bottom of the feet. So decent articulation, but not the greatest. Basically on par with what you would expect of any Hasbro female figure that they produce, except Power Rangers. That's like the exception. And I guess G.I. Joe. So similar with other Black Series or like Marvel Legends even. Okay, so here is BO-KATAN next to Din Djarin, the Mandalorian, side by side as we prepare for the face-off between the two in the upcoming third season, which no doubt will be over the Darksaber. You can just picture it. It's foreshadowed. The look on her face when she sees Din Djarin walk in with the Darksaber, and Moff Gideon's like, ah, sucker, look at that, gotcha. So it's going to be pretty crazy. Now, if you notice, looking at the helmets, Din Djarin's helmet is way smaller than BO-KATAN's because of how it was designed. BO-KATAN's helmet, it's not a super tight fit, but it's snug. Like, it's not going to fall off or anything, but it's not nearly as tight a fit as the Din Djarin one, whereas this one is very tight, and you have to like force it on there and kind of have to force the helmet off. So the sizing of it is much different, and I really like the way this one looks compared to how this one looks. It's a bit larger, but when thinking back on the show, I think her helmet was a little bit wider and everything. It just looks a little odd in figure form. It doesn't look bad, so don't get me wrong there. It just looks a little off, but as you can see, it's much easier to remove because it's just not nearly as tight. But there we go. And I believe they teased it. I don't know if it's really going to happen, but I think the whatchamacallit, the Sasha Banks character, I can't remember her name because it never really said, I don't think it said it out loud. It's just, you know, based on the credits and bios and whatnot. But I believe that figure is actually going to get released, so that'd be pretty cool. I don't know if we'll get that guy since he wasn't in the finale, but he was in that earlier episode in the season. He was in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. If you guys watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., you know exactly who I'm talking about. He was Bakshi. I don't know if they're going to have him do a figure for him. Probably not, because he wasn't in the finale, but that'd be cool. The Sasha Banks one, you know, I'll definitely pick up. Any of the Mandalorian figures themselves from the show are definitely figures that I'm going to be picking up because they actually just look really cool and pretty interesting, and they're well done. But you guys let me know down in the comments below, what do you think of this BO-KATAN figure? Is it one that you're really looking forward to, or would you prefer more of an animated version as opposed to a live action? Let me know in the comments below. If you guys like this video, please do me a favor and hit that thumbs up button, subscribe if you haven't already done so, and as always, thank you for watching. And may the Force be with you.